All right, so today we have Kim from Jubilee Fellowship here, and we're going to be discussing a lot with Kim's experience in kids ministry on making kids ministry very intentional and taking it beyond just like checking a box of like childcare per se during a church service, but really ministering to the youth and the next generation. So, before we get started in that, Kim, can you tell us a bit about your background, what got you into ministry, and how you found your role at your current church?
Yeah. So I was a senior in high school, and I really felt that God was just calling me in to be a mother to the youth. So to me, that was youth ministry. So go to Bible college for youth ministry, all that good
Mhm.
stuff. Met my husband in Bible college. We've been in ministry now for 23 years.
Okay.
24 if you include what we did in Bible college. So
Okay.
yeah, so I've got 23 years worth of ministry. Mostly majority of that is working with youth and kids. So
Mhm.
my husband was born and raised here in Colorado. We moved back here to plant a church downtown several years ago. Did that for a couple of years, and it just was not taking off. So we
Mhm.
landed here at Jubilee, and just kind of worked our way into family ministry here. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that is, awesome to hear an opportunity presented itself and exciting to hear getting involved with the church plan and stuff. That is really courageous and stuff, and it was hard to do. And glad you got to experience that, got to find a new church to go into, and in an area where it sounds like your husband's from. So I know I myself love Colorado. It's absolutely beautiful.
God's kind
Uh, so that is awesome. So with those 23 years of ministry experience, I'm curious, what are some of your kind of top takeaways and important things for folks entering kids ministry to know? I'll kind of hand the mic over to you and let you share info on that.
Yeah. We've worked in multiple areas with kids ministry. So obviously with a church plant, and it was downtown Denver. So people are like, oh, don't even bother having a kids ministry. And I'm like, that's not okay for me. Right
Hmm.
now I have 4 kids that have gone through kids ministry and are now in youth. And so just as a mom, being passionate about kids ministry and what I want for my kids, and growing
Hmm.
through that, um, and just seeing just the different avenues between smaller churches, larger churches. What are some takeaways from each thing? And I've kind of really narrowed it down, like I said, to that intentionality. Just it's with a church plant, and it was mobile. It was like it wasn't just about throwing a room together and having kids there for an hour to play, or a church that is established and it's just the
Hmm.
babysitting room. My goal, I've always said, I want kids crying when they have to leave church, not crying when
Okay.
parents are dropping them off. So my
Okay.
goal is always like, I want them to really feel like they've connected and had an amazing time in church. And growing up, I grew up in the church, and it was boring. It was like,
Hmm.
oh, I have to go to church again. I don't want kids leaving church with that attitude. I want them leaving with, like, I cannot wait to come back next week. And that
Hmm.
really is being intentional on your environments, um, making sure that they feel welcomed. Right now, currently in our church, my husband and I are over 0 through graduating kids and our marriage ministry. So we get to
Hmm.
really see and work with people. So we have kids pastors that are under us. Like, what are you doing to get on their level on a weekend? What are you doing to connect with parents during
Hmm.
the week? Making it very intentional. We get the kids an hour a week, maybe an hour and a half, um, and parents get it the rest of the time. So how can we, be intentional with working with parents and helping them through the week?
Absolutely. I love that idea, Kim, about having it like, hey, I'm crying when I'm, leaving church as opposed to going to it. Uh, because that is one thing I've really loved seeing recently is the way Kids Min has transformed, becoming more intentional, becoming more engaging to where it's not just like you sit and just like don't break anything, like or your parents are in
Right.
like big
Yeah.
church. So what are some tips? You mentioned a couple things there, like meeting them where they are, creating engaging environments. What are some ways to be intentional with the programming and environments in the actual church building?
Yeah. So as far as age group, I'll break kind of down what I see. Um, you got to learn how to really read a person.
Mhm.
So for me, with my 0 to 5 year olds, when I have a toddler coming in who's apprehensive and like, I don't want to go in there, I'm nervous, and it's been after
Mhm.
a couple of weeks working with mom, working with dad. Okay, well, how, I had a set of twins, and they, of course, would play off of each other. When one started crying, the other one would go. So
Okay.
I was intentional of meeting mom with, hey, do they have anything special at home they like to play with that maybe we could get for the room? She's like, oh, they love trains. So I got a train set for the room. So that next
Mhm.
week when they came in, they were like they knew that they had something special, just and that blew mom away. And it was just like
Okay.
it was a $25 train set. It wasn't like it
Mhm.
was a massive, $400 purchase, but that meant something to her. That showed her like my kids matter down here. I'm not just dropping them off. They actually matter. Somebody actually took the effort to meet them, see them where they were, and they've been coming in very well from then on, because they know they can go right over to that train set. It's something that they like. As far as
Mhm.
older kids go, we just had our staff meeting this week and trying to figure out ways to get more information from mom and dad. We've had
Mhm.
several kids that we found out that are foster kids. Well, if we
Mhm.
don't know that, we don't know what's going on with them. And, you can kind of be like, look, you're in third grade. I think you can handle an hour, in class. Well, we don't know what's going on at home. So
Mhm.
how can we figure out ways to connect and be there for families? I just had a mom, she actually drove in from Utah Sunday
Oh,
morning.
wow.
She had just gotten custody back of her kids. They had been in the
Mhm.
foster care system, but she was coming back because her support system's here in Colorado with the previous
Mhm.
foster mom, and they brought her to church. So it was like, how can we help you? How can we get you plugged into a place where you feel like you have that support system around you so that you can keep your kids and not have them back in the system? So just
Mhm.
learning and seeing those things, you kind of have to, you can't really be so all about like structure and program all the time, that you have that flexibility to be able to connect and see what's going on in that moment. We have, for our church, we have a kindergarten through second grade and a third through fifth grade. We did that very
Mhm.
intentionally because a kindergartner and a fifth grader, it's very hard. They're learning at totally different levels. It's very
Mhm.
hard to teach both of them something. Either the fifth grader's bored or the kindergartner doesn't understand anything you're saying. So for us,
Mhm.
it was, we were able to do that. That may not be feasible for everyone, to break it down as that. But what can you do in that environment if it is just kindergarten through fifth? Can you make space for small group time where somebody
Mhm.
is just reaching those kindergartners and maybe breaking down the story a little bit more on their level, or challenging the fifth graders in that time? Um,
Absolutely.
we've got several of our youth leaders that volunteer on the weekends with the kids, knowing I want to work with the fifth graders because they're going to be moving up into youth, and we want to make that a smooth transition for them. Being
Mhm.
very intentional with that. Even our youth pastor and his wife, they volunteer on a monthly basis in the kids ministry just to be connected with those
Mhm.
kids and build that relationship now, so that when they join scary middle school ministry, it's not as scary because they already know faces and the people that are there.
Absolutely. I love that idea of being intentional through like the age and stage changes there, like introducing them to the people that are going to be talking to them and supporting them in the next stage of ministry. So that is brilliant. And I love the idea of, for instance, the train set you mentioned earlier is awesome because it does a lot of important things. So, there's obviously, hey, we don't want the kids to cry every weekend. So, okay, train set, they're no longer crying. We want them to know we care about them in particular. They know that. They get excited when they see that. We show their parents that we are here for you. We care about you. We want to serve you in particular. And so that does that as well. So, what are some ways you approach parents and connect with them to get the info you need to learn more about their situation and how you can help minister to them and support them?
Yeah, that's what we were just discussing, ideas of how to do that this week. So we're like, okay,
Okay.
how is it? Because I checked personally, I was checking in the mom who just got her kids back. And that I'm sure was a very uncomfortable situation. She gave me her name and all her kids had a different last name. And you could tell she was
Mhm.
kind of like, just put my name, hesitant, possibly a little nervous, maybe a little embarrassed, not knowing,
Mhm.
you go into a situation like that and you automatically think that people are watching me. They know my situation. They know what's going on. How
Mhm.
do we make them comfortable to allow us to be a part of that healing process and working that through? So we're in discussion on how to make it happen. Some of the stuff is, let's get a questionnaire out there. We do have a grandma that brings grandkids because mom and dad don't go to church. Well, if we know that it's grandma,
Mhm.
how can we resource grandma to get them information
Mhm.
and stuff like that? So as we're checking students in, the children in, just engaging. Hey, how was your week? Is this your son? Is this, we have different people doing check-in every week. So we may not
Mhm.
know from week to week the story, but we're able to go ahead and put, hey, just want to let you know, we'll let our team know this family's coming this week. This is the situation. They may be a little agitated at first or a little angry. They could be hurt. Just give them some extra love. We don't know. That's one thing, even without knowing, I always let my volunteers know, like, you don't know what their week has been like. And this could be an hour that they just get loved. And
Mhm.
that 1 hour we have could change the trajectory of their life that next week for them, knowing that, you know what, I may have had a really bad week, but I just connected with somebody who cared for me and I connected with Jesus. I learned something about Jesus, that I saw Jesus in that person in my classroom. Or, let's just show them. We were just saying yesterday, our kindergarten through second grade teacher, our pastor, him and his wife, uh, we just complimented him because he literally is like the epitome of what I see Jesus being to children in the
Mhm.
Bible. When you read the stories about Jesus in the Bible,
Yeah.
this guy literally, he shows these kids like he is down on
Okay.
their level. Like when they come in, he gets down on his knee to be on their level. Hey, how are you?
Mhm.
This is your first time. You're kidding me. Well, let me show you. Just so, like I see that as being like Jesus. So how can we
Mhm.
see Jesus in the classroom when we may not know? And then follow up. So we did, follow up with mom that may, hey, she looks like she's struggling. I'm going to go ahead and reach out to her this week, buy her a coffee or give her some resources. Hey, just want to let you know I'm here for you. If you need anything, we've got resources, we've got information, just being available, I think, and not getting so busy with all the tasks that people get forgotten.
Absolutely. I mean, it is important to still stay high level, not be too busy with all the tasks, to keep showing people you care about them. And I love the idea of, looping in people that exhibit real gifts to your area of ministry, like the dude that is very Christ-like, it seems, ministering to the kids, getting at their level and stuff, engaging with them, making them feel special and heard and stuff, and that is outstanding. So really like that. Shifting gears slightly, I know you mentioned earlier it's important to go and meet the youth, meet the kids where they are. What are some things you do to be intentional about doing that and meeting them maybe outside of a church setting?
Yeah, so we do quarterly, because we are over the marriage ministry as well. We kind of do a parents like date night with an option of drop your kid off at church. We're going to have a fun night for them. the older kids one week did dart wars, and we just took over the entire church. I'm sure there's still like Nerf gun pellets
Yeah.
hidden somewhere. I don't like, wedged somewhere, but and offering that so that parents get a chance to go out, but we also have a fun, really intentionally fun night for the kids. We have a great playground in the back, and so this last time it was great weather, so we just had ice pops and goodies and just had fun games outside where that parents know that they're in a safe place and they can go and enjoy a night out, but the kids are having a blast. They're not just stuck at home with a babysitter. We'll do that quarterly. We have a moms group that does activities pretty much throughout the year. So they've done a lot of work dates, starting in the summer, different things to get kids outside of church connected, so that when they see each other at church, it's all the more incentive to want to be there.
Absolutely. I mean, I love the idea of like events for like parent date night things. That's awesome because, great for the parents, great for the kids. So, that is outstanding, and I like the idea of the moms group as well. And there are probably lots of other ways, like not just kids ministry, but student ministry. I was talking to one church actually earlier today, and they started streaming like Fortnite tournaments in their student ministry. So there's like
My
a
son
lot
will
of
sign up for that for sure.
exactly, and it's something that you don't really think of that as like a way to engage in ministry, but I mean, hey, it is a good way to get people to see your church, get people to engage in it, and meet them where they are. So, and I'm curious, any other really interesting things you all do to be intentional about meeting the people that maybe haven't found a church yet, or?
We have a great missions department, and they do a ton of outreach stuff. So we'll partner with them. One thing, when we came in to the ministry here at Jubilee, we've always noticed it's really easy for churches to have silo ministries. So kids is here, youth is here, adult church is here, women's is here, men's is here. How can we all come together and get rid of that silo ministry kind of feel? So we are working with the missions department. Hey, obviously maybe kindergartners can't go on a missions trip, but is there a way we can reach out to our community and show them already how to meet somebody where they're at? How do we show them that their backyard is their mission field? Going into the schools, it's a little bit harder nowadays, but if we get special permissions, we'll meet in the parking lot and just have donuts at the high school on Wednesday morning. So kids are coming in like, wait, what? Free donuts? This is awesome. And there's more. We can offer you more. More than just donuts. All the donuts are good. Free food always brings people in. So there's a tip for you. So we're just really trying to work through that, getting rid of that silo ministry. How can we work with the women's ministry and draw that in so that moms can invite maybe other moms from their neighborhood that would know what other reason come to church, but she would go to a pottery night and we offer childcare for her. That it's just kind of reaching our neighbors really, and showing the kids that they can reach them through school. We can, we're getting ready to get into a new building. I have hopes and dreams of having afternoons, from like 3 to 6. How do we get people in that can offer homework help and a place for the kids to hang out, that they're not just, maybe mom and dad are working, they're not just going home and just doing nothing or getting into trouble, but hey, how can we use this new facility to offer stuff for the community? So we're just kind of in hopes and dreams of stuff like that.
Absolutely. I was talking to a colleague the other day. He has a company that sets up like learning environments. So he does a lot of work with K-12, a lot of work with colleges, community centers and stuff, and even some churches. And he was talking about how the church of, right now and of, the future is a place for community. That's what the church has always been. And, when you expand it to say, hey, You don't have to just do church stuff here. It's not just open on Sunday.
Yeah,
This is a place for you to be as much as possible. So yeah, that is really exciting to hear you got some stuff rolling with that.
yeah, we're excited about it. I'm in that stage of taking, I'll wake up in the middle of the night. I've learned I have to have a notebook next to my bed because I'm like,
Oh
"Think
yeah,
about that." And then I'm like thinking about it all. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. I need sleep.
your notebook next to your bed is very important if ideas pop to you at
Yeah.
random. So yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And then that kind of is a good segue to another question I had for you, Kim. What are some of your short-term and long-term ministry goals?
Yeah. So short term right now, we are kind of figuring out how to do portable again because we sold our building, but our new building won't be available
Okay.
yet. So short term is how to make that transition comfortable for kids, especially like, okay, littles who've just gotten comfortable with coming into our room here and they're familiar with it. How do we make that mirror that in a portable setting to where we're not losing families in that season of not having a place? So from, okay, how do we make it so that this train set is portable? How do we make this, those things that we can mimic to make it feel like home to them, even though we're in a school gym or something, wherever we end up being. Short term, other things is just we're always, always, always growing our team. Um,
Mhm.
Always recruiting, always getting volunteers, training up, raising up volunteers, and not just people that are like, I need something to do, but people that are passionate about kids ministry and just
Mhm.
really, I don't want somebody down in a room that's just like, I'm just doing time. I want somebody like, I want to be here. So, um, being very intentional, we do a lot of personality tests, spiritual gifts tests. Let's get somebody planted in the position, like in a place serving that they're not going to dread going to. So that's
Absolutely.
very intentional for me with my kids ministry and youth ministry. We want to make sure that they actually want to be a part of that. So making sure they're plugged in. Long term is, like I said, just kind of dreaming about after school programs and what does that look like? How, can we get college students to come and volunteer some time? Maybe they need some service hours for, seniors in high school need those service hours or project that they're doing
Mhm.
that they can come and tutor kids for an hour on an afternoon, but we can make it a fun afternoon as well and helping kids get through school.
Absolutely. I mean, I love that idea of like personality tests and doing stuff to really have people volunteer and serve in a place that they'll actually enjoy it. Because, someone may be an introvert that really likes technology, they might feel more comfortable helping with
Yeah.
production and the service as
Don't really
opposed
want
to
them
being in
reading
a
and having
screaming nursery.
yes, I
Like,
while they're reading.
absolutely. So, yeah, I love that idea because you want them to like it and not, like you said, feel like they're doing time. So that is outstanding. What are some strategies you use to recruit and engage said volunteers aside from like well, I mean, we kind of touched on some, but what additional
Yeah.
strategies do you have for that?
One thing that I'm trying to remind my team of right now is a lot of times it's just the ask. I mean, the worst thing they can say is no.
Uh-huh.
We move on to the next person. But a lot of times I'll reach out to a mom or somebody and they're like, really? You thought of me? It's almost an honor to them. They get excited, like, wow, I can't believe you thought I would be a good fit in here. Yeah, let me try it out. So a lot of
Mhm.
times it is just an ask. We have our student ministry that we started for youth. So we have a servant team. Okay, they're required to serve in the church somewhere. So as they're, a part of student leadership, we're getting them plugged into the church. A lot of the times a kid graduates high school, if they're not plugged into the local church, they're not going to go away to college and find a local church to get plugged into. So when we have
Mhm.
kids that are graduating, we want to make sure that they're already so plugged into the church that it's natural for them to find a church to get plugged into. So we're very
Mhm.
intentional with that using the student leadership. It doesn't have to be helping out with kids ministry. Maybe they want to help in the coffee bar. Maybe they want to do production. Maybe they're called to
Mhm.
media. Well, let's get them plugged into the, working the cameras and all the tech stuff now, and that's just part of their resume already. So finding people who are looking for specific things. Maybe we have graphic artists that we just don't know about that can be doing the birthday postcards for kids ministry on their, off time, or just trying to really see what people are up to, see what their needs are, their wants are. And a lot of times, like I said, it's just the ask, and they feel excited that you would even consider and think of them, because I mean, let's be honest, people like to know they're thought of. So I know, like, oh, you're thinking of me? That's so special. Like, and knowing that, wow, it's just a big ask sometimes.
Absolutely. And, like you said, the worst they can say is no. And, and they're not going to be like angry if they're like, no,
Yeah.
why'd you ask me to volunteer? But you're
no way.
really,
yeah. No, I'm not going to get plugged into kids. Well, is there somewhere else in the church we can get you plugged in? Because I would love to get you plugged in anywhere. I just want to see, I want to see the church being the church and not just coming to church and consuming.
I mean, that is a really important way to look at it. Like being serving, not just like sitting there listening or whatnot, but engaging in ministry and moving it forward is really what ministry is. So that's awesome to hear you are prioritizing that, and yeah, just being intentional about it is amazing. And so we got a ton of interesting learnings from our chat today, Kim. It's been awesome. What other info and advice would you want to share with other folks about being intentional in kids ministry and stuff?
I would say, well, it's people over preference. I'm a planner and a structure and, systems kind of person. So I have to remember that. So people over preference, and may not prefer it this way, but if it's, going to make that person comfortable, you got to do that. That's intentional in that. Being intentional as far as I talk with my leaders about, hey, every week we have a huddle before service. We pray over the morning. We go over anything going on. Hey, just as a reminder, you're making a difference. You may not see it right now, but you're making a difference, and just really encouraging, maybe have a story for those leaders and just to encourage them, because they're coming in on a week-to-week basis or every other week. They just kind of get to that, like, I'm just, clocking in and doing this, but really just vocalizing that, hey, you're making a difference. I remember the nursery worker I had when I was a kid, and down the road, somebody's going to look back and be like, I remember that when she, spoke that into my life, or she spent that time with me. And just reminding those volunteers, hey, we've got 1 hour. Let's keep our cell phones up, because whatever's going on in the world can wait an hour while you're intentionally investing in these kids. I always want to make sure that kids go home with a take home, so mom and dad see that they actually did something in class. We use the orange strategy in their curriculum, so we always have a take home for parents. Social media is a big thing. We always post every week, hey, while you're driving, do this with your child, because this is what they're learning this week, and really making sure that parents can keep engaged with what's going on down in the kids area as well.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of additional great tips there. Love those, and I know our listeners and readers will love it as well. So, Kim, thank you so much for sharing. It's been great. Looking forward to sharing these insights with our partners, and yeah, excited to see how everything continues to go at Jubilee. We are rooting for you all, especially as you move into your new building. Very exciting time. So yeah, looking forward to staying in touch.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kim. Have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.